And welcome back, our dear viewers. Now it's time for our daily press review, and we are delighted to have our dear guest, Mr. Mohamed Sheta, the media expert. Good morning, Mr. Mohamed.
Very beautiful good morning to you and to your viewers.
And we start our press review for today, Wednesday, the 21st of October, from الأخبار newspaper. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said that there is an agreement between the Egyptians and Jordanians on the need to contain the current situation in the occupied Palestinian territories and to work towards the implementation of the two-state solution. Shoukry added that the two sides agreed to establish Palestinian state in any ways, either through joint Arab state efforts, through the UN Security Council, or by the multilateral framework. Shoukry held a meeting with Jordanian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Nasser Jouda, in which they addressed the Palestinian cause, development, the situation of the region, and bilateral relations between Egypt and Jordan. Shoukry added that Egypt is keen to support the bilateral relation with Jordan in the commercial field, as to maintain the communication and to search for joint opportunities, stressing that there is full consent between the Egyptian and Jordanian sides on the level of this relationship. Sir, of course, Egypt and Jordan are having a very special relations, and to see a real solution for the crises in the region, it's a really important step to be taken by both countries in order also to find a way out for the developing escalation and violence in the Palestinian occupied territory. So how do you see
well, as you just said, they have a very special relation between each other, and they also have a unique relation with Israel as well, because they are the two only Arab countries who have a peace agreement with Israel.
Indeed.
I wish that Israel would listen to their peace partners in the region, which is Egypt and Jordan. Unfortunately, over the past couple of years, we've noticed that they haven't been listening to anyone, not even in many cases, even to the United States. And so I don't think that. I think that the Israeli government is very stubborn. Of course, the internal competition between the Israeli parties, of course, puts the political decision makers in a very difficult situation, because on one hand they want to satisfy the public opinion in Israel, on the other hand, of course, they want to gain the support of the population, and on the other hand they want to show that Israel is a very strong, is a very powerful state. Like I said it many times before here in the breakfast show, I think we need to get the European Union and the United States on board, and because they are the only two major forces worldwide who can really
and to actually do something concrete on the ground, because the United States always not doing real thing regarding this issue, because
they can really put pressure on Israel.
Yes.
And unfortunately, as we've seen over the past decades, not only one decade but the past decades, the Arab League was not very successful in reaching any agreements with Israel.
And moving to Sada al-Balad, Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs praised the performance of the first stage of the Egyptian parliamentary elections as an important step in the implementation of the stated political reforms of the 2013 roadmap. He said in a statement that Moscow is convinced that the completion of the general electoral measures will create the basic condition necessary to put Egypt on the sustainable development path within the framework of a democratic institution that work to promote economic and to ensure the sufficient level of human rights and economic growth and reforms. Of course, that was the Russian reaction towards the recent parliamentary elections that took place in Egypt. Of course, the first phase in 14 governorates. So how do you see that, and how do you see from your point of view the process of the parliamentary elections at the first phase of the parliament?
Of course, this is a very positive and a very diplomatic reaction from the Russian government, of course, and from the Russian foreign ministry. But let's be honest with ourselves. Of course, the turnout of the voters to the elections was not as...
was a bit disappointing,
was very disappointing, actually, not just a bit, and it was not as much as the government and also all the other freedom-seeking citizens were hoping. The problem is, there are many problems, actually. First of all, I think the timing of the voting days was not really... was quite unlucky, actually.
Why?
Because it was in the middle of the week, and people need to go to work, and I think like many countries do,
when they have in the weekend or Saturday on Sunday and Sunday.
Of course, the government is afraid that people take the weekend and travel to Sokhna,
which is most of the time the
which
case.
is exactly the fact. Then we do it very easily.
So we are not interested, Mr. Sheta, to go and cast our ballots.
Well,
most of us.
Yes, but the thing is, people got kind of
relaxed.
Not bored, relaxed. Some of them got a little bit disappointed over the past 2-3 years. Nevertheless, we should find a mechanism to allow people to vote in an easy way. Why didn't we do it, like, for example, for 3 days, on one day on the weekend, like on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? So we make sure that even if people go on the weekend to Sokhna or
they will return and cast
on Sunday, you know. So I think the election committee should really consider, even for the upcoming rounds of the election, to add another day and set one day in the weekend, one day during the working days. This is number one. Number two is the conflict of interest, which I've seen in many aspects. First of all, there's so many TV presenters running for these parliamentary elections, and of course you will never see this certain TV presenter talking about the programs of the other candidates, you know. So we have a major problem. I myself, I never heard about the people who were candidating in my district, you know. So it really took lots of effort.
Did you cast your ballot, Mr. Sheta?
To be honest, I didn't. To be honest, for many reasons. First of all, because it was
on a working day.
It was on a working day.
But to be honest, Mr. Sheta, it was from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m.
So you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
The polling stations were not that crowded, so you can go and.
It was not a problem of being crowded. The thing is, I really didn't know whom to vote for. I tried to do my research on Google. I tried to watch a couple of videos on YouTube to find the programs.
And you were not convinced?
First of all, I was not convinced. Secondly, there were so many misleading Facebook groups. For example, there was a Facebook group, the first impression it gives you that it talks about the elections as a whole. And then when you click on it and you go through and read a little bit through the post they have, it turns out that this Facebook group was posted and published by one or two of the candidates, you know, and of course they misled all the internet users and the Facebook users to their program, you know. So I think the media really failed in raising the awareness.
How can we overcome these deficiencies or these problems in the second phase of the parliamentary elections and the runoff as well?
The problem is that, as you surely know, most of the private TV stations are owned by businessmen. And some of these businessmen are involved in the elections. They support certain parties. Some of them do it publicly. Some of them don't do it publicly. Yeah. So I think it was the main job, of course, of the state-owned TV stations and radio stations to raise the awareness and to talk more about the programs of the candidates and really give the Egyptian citizens more options to choose from and to show to them what can really be done during these elections. So for the next time, I think we really need to be more convincing
to learn from our mistakes.
Of course.
Moving on to Al-Ahram newspaper. Egypt Chief of Staff General Mahmoud Hijazi headed on Tuesday a top military delegation in a visit to Jordan for several days. During his visit, Hijazi will meet with the military advisor of the King and Jordan Chief of Staff, Michel Zain, along with other top Jordanian military officials. The visit aims to boost the military cooperation between the two countries, still with the Egyptian-Jordanian relations, and the visit by the Egyptian Chief of Staff, General Mahmoud Hijazi, to Jordan and his meeting there.
I think the intensity of the meetings between the Egyptian and the Jordanian side show that there's lots of movement behind the curtains related to the stability in the region and of course to the peace process in the region. And I think it's very good that Egypt and Jordan keep on talking very closely to each other, because actually although we don't have direct borders with them, it is very important that they coordinate all the safety and security issues between each other on the high level, on the highest levels, actually.
Of course. And back to Al-Akhbar, اليوم newspaper, and we read Prime Minister Sharif Ismail received on Tuesday the British ambassador to Cairo, where they discussed ways to develop the relations between the two countries and promote cooperation in different fields. Cabinet spokesman Hossein El-Qawish said that the Premier praised during the meeting the development of Egyptian-British relations, pointing out that he is looking forward to take advantages of the momentum caused by President Sisi's visit to Britain. For his part, the British ambassador emphasized on the importance of the President's visit to Britain to increase cooperation and coordination between the two sides in all economic, trade and security fields, as well as exchange views on regional issues of mutual concern. Of course, the upcoming visit by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Britain is a very important issue, and in light of that, we have seen Prime Minister Sharif Ismail receiving the British ambassador to discuss maybe preparatory measures or what are the main issues of mutual concern between the two countries.
I think it's very important that Egypt intensifies its relation with the major key players in the European Union, and of course the United Kingdom is one of them. What just comes into my mind, for example, what we can learn from the UK and especially from London. On my way from 6th of October here to Maspero, it took me almost an hour and a half or even more.
It took me 2 hours from mine.
You see, so we have a serious traffic issue, a traffic problem, and a road safety problem, and of course an air pollution problem as well. So I think London was very successful in introducing the congestion charge, for example, which charges you a huge amount of money just for entering the city center area, and also other European cities, especially for example the German cities, you're not allowed to enter if your car is an air polluting has an air polluting engine. You know, you need to have Euro 5 or Euro 6 at least as an emission standard.
Mr. Sheta, here you walk in the street, you find a bus or a car with black smoke.
Yes.
It's just very obvious to the eyes. You don't have to measure anything.
Yes.
It's polluting the air just in front of you. So we have to take strict measures, since Egypt especially is very high in the pollution
This is the result
rates.
of two problems. All the huge smoke you see coming out from the exhaust pipe, not only from buses, also from pickup trucks and microbuses and some passenger cars as well. First of all, because the cars are very old. So many of them, if it's only black smoke, then it's due to the bad quality of the diesel or the gasoline fuel. If it's blue smoke, then it's because the engine is suffering, and this is oil mixed with the gasoline, with the fuel. So this is thing which actually the Egyptian government can handle very easily by introducing periodical tests and roadworthiness tests on the car to make sure that the cars which are driving on the roads have a well-functioning engine, well-functioning brakes and everything. And we need, of course, to introduce minimum standards for imported cars as well as for the assembled cars. So this is something which we can definitely learn from, not only from the UK, but also from other countries in the European Union, especially Germany, because Germany is the hub of the automotive industry, not only in Europe but worldwide. And besides the current scandal of Volkswagen with the emissions, with the exhaust emissions level, which was discovered in the United States, besides that, the German technology is extremely advanced, and I think we should really implement Euro 5 and Euro 6 emission standards in Egypt, because this will first automatically will only allow very modern cars to enter, and the more modern cars we have on the streets, the less traffic congestion we will have, because cars will not break down as much as we have it right now. When if all the cars causing the traffic jams, they're 20 years old or 30 years old, and we really need to get rid of these cars.
Hopefully. Moving to Al-Ahram newspaper, and we read that UN Chief Ban KiMoon on Tuesday warned against any misuse of force as he met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem in a bid to calm nearly 3 weeks of unrest. And Ban also the danger of allowing an escalation into a religious conflict with the potential regional implications, and urged efforts to ensure that this did not occur. The UN General Assembly told reporters that security measures can be counterproductive if they are applied without special effort to defuse the situation before people lose their lives. He added that any misuse of force, the very frustrations and anxieties from which violence can erupt. Of course, back to our situation here in Jerusalem and the Israeli-Palestine conflict, which has increased during the past 3 weeks, and the visit by the warning by Ban KiMoon from any escalation in the situation which could lead to more negative repercussions. So do you believe an end to this very dangerous circle of violence?
Obviously, like we said just earlier, a couple of minutes ago, the Israeli government is not really listening to anyone. I mean, not even to Ban KiMoon.
Do you believe, because they know that the West and the UN and the United States are not really serious in their warnings?
Not only, well, slightly. I mean, they're not really serious.
We have to admit the bias strategy of the West towards the.
Of course, they implement completely different standards, like they, for example, implemented with Iraq or with Syria or with Libya or with any other country. You know, so this is of course very obvious, and this is due to the influence of the Israeli lobby, not only state, but also, for example, in Germany or in other European countries, like in France, for example. Again, like I said, the Israeli government is extremely stubborn and has been stubborn over the past decades. The only way of really putting pressure on them is through their strategic partners like the United States, Germany, France, and all the other European countries. And this is the only way. So I hope that they will sit down and really rethink what they're doing, because history taught them how tough life could be, and we've seen what happened during the Hitler era in Germany with the Jewish community, and they should learn from the mistakes which others did and not do the same mistakes as well.
Indeed. And moving to المصري اليوم. Egypt, represented in the Ministry of Tourism, has won the presidency of the Executive Council of the World Tourism Organization 2016. This game was in the 21st session of the General Assembly of the World Tourism Organization. For his part, Minister of Tourism Hisham Zazou asserted that winning the presidency of the Executive Council will affect tourism in Egypt positively in the next year. And a noteworthy tourism minister has held several meetings with his counterparts participating in the meeting. Of course, the tourism in Egypt, we have to restore back the tourism and the number of tourists visiting Egypt, which is not very promising.
I disagree a little bit with what Minister of Tourism Hisham Zazou said, that winning the presidency of the Executive Council will affect tourism in Egypt positively in the next year. It will not affect. It will not have any effect if we in Egypt do not do anything productive to increase the numbers of the tourists. Okay. Just winning a seat or a executive council is
not of a concern to a tourist.
Exactly. So I hope that that they will not be really convinced with that. I think this is more for the public opinion and for the newspaper, like we said, كلام الجرايد, you know, to convince the people of something positive. No, they need to work hard if they want to reach the numbers which we reached, the 8 million during the time of the late Minister of Tourism, Mamdouh al-Biltagi. I think they really need to do lots of effort. For example, we need clean air. Tourists will not come visit a country where they get sick by the air pollution. I know lots of my friends who come for a visit and they stay in bed for 3-4 days because of the headache they have, because of the polluted air they breathe the second they step out of the plane at the Cairo airport. So this is something very, very important they need to tackle. The second thing is, it reminds me with the visit of Morgan Freeman, the very famous actor, and Jack Nicholson, who are obviously currently in Egypt doing a feature or a program for National Geographic. To be honest, I'm really surprised how the Ministry of Tourism did not make any press conference talking about this or informing the public.
It's a big thing that we should actually use to a great extent.
I was surprised to read about it on Facebook by people sharing their selfies they did with Morgan Freeman at Khan al-Khalili or at al-Fishawi.
It's Morgan Freeman, come on.
Yes, you need to have, you should have used it because actually he's going to visit other countries in the region, including Israel, and I'm sure the Israeli media and the Israeli government will use it as a tourism boosting a measure and tool for their tourism. So we should have done it much better. And like I said again, road safety and the traffic congestions
and the reflection of the real image, because many tourists are still concerned with the political and security situation in the country. They are not getting the real image of what's going on the ground here.
You are absolutely right, but we need to teach the Egyptians themselves how to deal with tourists. We need to teach the taxi driver that you should not rip them off and charge them $50 instead of £50, for example.
The people who are riding camels.
This is a disaster. This is a disaster. I was there a couple of
in the pyramids,
2 years ago with a group of foreign German rally drivers who were participating at the Pharaoh's rally. And I saw how the camel guides and the tour guides were trying to rip them off, and it was really something embarrassing.
Yes.
But like I said, the foreign tourists, especially the Western tourists, they forget about the political things happening in a country like Egypt, for example. If it's not really a huge safety problem, they will still come. But we need to have clean air, we need to have clean taxis, we need to have a welcoming airport, you know.
Yes, of
when you see how the tourists who come on their by themselves at the airport, how they're being ripped off by the taxi drivers and the representatives of the tourism companies there, it's really a shame. So I hope they really work hard on that part.
We need to do more efforts. Mr. Mohamed Sheta, the media expert, thank you very much for your precious input. And with that, our viewers, we come to the end of our press review for today. Now we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to resume the segment of the breakfast show, so don't go away.